Solidarity is today expected to auction Denel assets for a debt of 90 million rands. The auction comes after Solidarity seized the assets earlier this year due to the Denel's failure to pay Solidarity members in terms of the court order. According to Solidarity, some of the employees at Denel had to make do with partial and sometimes no salary for more than 2 years. For more, I'm joined by the Deputy General Secretary, Public Sector at Solidarity, Mr. Helgard Cronje. Mr. Cronje, thank you so much and welcome to SABC News. First, let's begin with finding about the state or well-being of your members. Having no income for nearly 2 years or more than 2 years can be traumatizing and stressing for anyone. How are they doing?
Look, I think to say that it's traumatizing, is sort of an understatement. Many of them have lost what they've worked for their whole lives. Some of them have 30, close to 40 years of service at Denel. So to see a company going down, like the way that Denel has, is traumatizing. But to then, on top of that, lose your house, you need to borrow and beg from family to stay alive. I've personally received messages from members and, so on that threatens with suicide. So it's a really serious and desperate situation currently. And I think that is why we find ourselves in this position.
Yeah. The auction was due to begin at 10 this morning. Did it go ahead? If so, how much has been raised of the 90 million?
Yes, it has taken place. Initially, the inventory that the sheriff compiled indicated that we can expect more or less 600,000 to be raised. But luckily, we were able to, it seems as though, it's in the region of 1.7 million. So it's a very small amount of our total claim. But as we've said before in some of our media releases, that this is also just a phase one. If there's a need for us to go ahead with further auctions, we will do so.
Yeah. You've also seized Denel's corporate accounts. How's that working out and how does that fit into the auction that took place this morning?
Look, I think it's two totally different and separate processes. We expected, the auctions not to deliver sufficient funds for us to collect all the debt owed to our members. And that's why we also attached the corporate bank account. Part of the attachment of the corporate bank account is to ensure that monies that are expected to flow into Denel over the next few weeks, that we have control over that and to ensure that that money is used to pay the debts of our members first.
Yeah. Parallel to this auction that has taken place this morning, your counterparts, NUMSA, have been marching to Public Enterprises Office demanding that Prime Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, step down. What is your position as Solidarity with regards to the future of Denel?
Look, I think Denel has a future. I can't see the South African country or South Africa as a country keeping its sovereignty without a Denel. So we do need a Denel. It's sad that some of these processes have started in 2020 and we haven't seen proper action from the politicians like Minister Pravin Gordhan and from the Denel board. They are sort of missing in action, and you hear them speak about Denel in speeches sometimes, but when it comes to proper decision making and turning Denel around, proper decisions has been lacking. I think one of the good things that have come out of this process is the appointment of a chief restructuring officer in the form of Mr. Ria Saluji, who seems to be successfully turning around SAA Technical. So I think that's one good part of it. The question is, however, going to be whether the Department of Public Enterprises and the board gives him sufficient power, first of all, and support, second of all, in the form of recapitalization of some sort, or to allow him to sell the parts of the business that is not core business or that can only be saved by privatizing them and getting private capital in.
Yeah. How much has Solidarity itself taken a hit when it comes to membership funds? Because obviously if your members at Solidarity have not been paid for 2 years, naturally it would be difficult or to almost impossible for them to pay membership fees. To what position has that put you as a union?
I think, that's the smallest of our concerns. Solidarity has, through the Solidariteit Help in Hand, assisted a lot of our members over these months as well. So we've had to go above and beyond. We've handed out food parcels and food vouchers on several occasions over the last 2 years. In some instances, we've had to support some members with medical emergencies and things like that. And it has happened through that welfare part of the organization. We are in a fortunate position that our organization is structured in such a way that we can give support like that to our members. But that has cost hundreds of thousands of rands. We haven't made a calculation with regards to the membership fees that has been lost or not. But we have also been aggressive in the way that we have approached Denel for them to pay those deductions, because that money actually gets deducted from the salary. So we've been aggressive in approaching them to do that, to enable us to go ahead with the court cases and the processes like these.
Yeah, I'm curious to know that, I know you did mention that this is the first phase of many of recovering that eventual 90 million rand. Once you get that, how are you going to disperse it among the members? What criteria are you going to be using?
We don't have to apply any criteria. We know the actual outstanding amounts to our members. So we have been gathering that information, and that was part of our court application. We had to be able to show the court how much is owed to each individual, and we've gathered that information throughout the process. I think that's one of the biggest burdens of a litigation process like that, is to sort out that type of administration. We have been doing that, and I think we are in a position where we can distribute that money according to each individual's outstanding salaries. There might be hiccups here and there. I mean, if you do that for 900 members, there are some hiccups, and it does happen that mistakes are made. But I think by far we will be able to pay the correct amounts to most members.
Yeah, before I let you go, the next auction, when do you envisage that you are likely to have it?
Look, Denel expects the Denel Medical Benefit Trust money to flow in. So hopefully there is no need to have a further auction, because if that money flows in, there might be some capital available to them to pay outstanding salaries to all the employees. That is what they said they would do. However, we cannot rely on promises at this stage, and also not expected dates. We need evidence of when that money will flow in. So we hope that takes place before we continue with the next auctions. We don't have a date for the next auctions. These things take a bit of time to organize, but we are going to start with that process as soon as we get back to work next week.
Mr. Helgard Cronje is the Deputy General Secretary of Public Sector for Solidarity, speaking to us about that auction that they held this morning at 10 a.m., auctioning at some of the assets of Denel to try and raise about 90 million rands for 900 of their members who have not gotten their salaries for about 2 years now.